Hello, everyone. This is the podcast that'll go with this assignment for February 8th. And you're going to be solving this quadratic equation and it's called square root method, and I'll show you what that means in just a second. So the first thing that you always want to do is undo any adding and subtracting. Yes, there's this adding 10 here, but it's inside the parentheses, and what I'm referencing is PEMDAS, an A. And they're grouped by parentheses, exponents, multiplying and dividing are together, and adding and subtracting are together. And when you're solving an equation, you're working up PEMDAS. So the first thing you want to do is undo any adding and subtracting, as I wrote there. But this adding or subtracting is considered inside the parentheses, so I can't touch it yet until I get rid of all this other stuff going up it. So the first thing that you want to do is add 31 to both sides. So the left side is still 4. X plus 10 squared is equal to 16. There's no more adding and subtracting that I can touch. Again, I can't touch this adding the 10 because it's inside that parenthesis. That wasn't a very good plus. So the next thing you have to do is undo any multiplying or dividing. This multiplying is here, so undo any multiplying or dividing. That's being multiplied here. You can't distribute inside a parenthesis when there's an exponent on it. So if I had 4 x plus 10 with an exponent of 1, in other words, there's no exponent there, then you can distribute it in. But when there's an exponent other than 1, it's not legal. It doesn't work. Okay? So a quick example would be 2, 3 plus 4. You know that this, if I start on the inside, I know that that's worth 7. So I get 2 times 7 is 14. If I distribute that, I get 6 plus 8, which is also 14. But if I have 2, 3 plus 4 squared, I have to do the work inside first. Then I have to take care of the exponent next, which is going to be what, 96? If I distribute it first, I get 6 plus 4 squared, which is 10 squared, which is 100. It's not 96. Okay? So you can't distribute inside a parenthesis when you have an exponent other than 1. Okay. So all of this, I have to divide the 4 out because it's held by multiplication, and I do it to both sides. So you get x plus 10 squared is equal to 4. Now, to get rid of the square, you don't distribute it. That's not what you want it to do. I want to make it go away. So to make a square go away, you square root. And if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. So this is just x plus 10. That cancels out, equals. Now the right side, there's 2 answers to this. It's asking what number, when I square root it, let me back up and try that a different way. 4 is 2 times 2. 4 is also negative 2 times negative 2. Okay? So I'm looking for what number squared gives me 4. Well, it's either 2 or negative 2. And you write that positive or negative 2. So there's 2 answers to this question. Okay? So I have x plus 10 is equal to 2 or negative 2. So it's this or it's this. So when I subtract the 10 from both sides, I get an answer, I get an answer of x is equal to negative 8 or x is equal to negative 12. Okay? Now, a shorthand of doing this rather than writing it in 2 equations would be x plus 10 is equal to plus or minus 2. When you subtract the 10, you have to do 2 questions. If it's a positive 2 minus 10, you get negative 8. But if it's a negative 2 minus 10, you get negative 12. So that's how to do it without writing it in 2 different equations. You can write them both out if you want, but just understand it's going to require 2 answers. Showing you again, I'm going to add 7 to both sides first. And you get x plus 1 squared is equal to 30. When you square root both sides, you get x plus 1 equals positive or negative, and this doesn't simplify. It just stays the square root of 30. Now I subtract the 1, and x is equal to negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 30. Okay? So when you go to type that in Delta Math, probably what you'll have to write is this and also this. You probably have to write it in two separate ways. I don't think they give you a plus or minus button. Okay? So you'll have to write it out two different ways. Okay? In these previous two examples, there was adding or subtracting outside the parentheses. So on that one, and if I clear all this out, this one. On this next one, there is no adding and subtracting outside the parentheses, so I can just skip on to the next one, which was undo multiplying. So I divide by 3 first. So again, what I'm referencing is this PEMDAS. And I'm working up it. There was no adding and subtracting outside, so I just go to the level of undo multiplying or dividing. So I get x plus 9 squared is equal to 4. I undo that square by square rooting both sides. The square and the square root just cancel. It doesn't touch what's in here. So you don't get x plus 3 or something like that, okay? I square rooted the 9. Nope, it's just x plus 9 equals, and the square root of 4 again is positive 2 or negative 2. Now subtract the 9 from both sides, and you get x is equal to negative 9 plus or minus 2. Now you have to do the arithmetic here. Negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. Negative 9 minus 2 is negative 11. So there are your two answers. This one, there is adding and subtracting both sides, so I start by adding 21 to both sides. So the left side, the 4 is still there. So what's that, 16? Now I divide by 4. And I get x minus 5 is equal to plus, sorry, that square is still there. 16 divided by 4 is 4. I got ahead of myself. Now I square root both sides, and I get x minus 5 equals plus or minus 2. Add the 5 to both sides, and you get x is equal to 2 plus 5 is 7. Negative 2 plus 5 is 3. Okay, there you go. Thank you for your time. Have a great one.